Good morning and welcome to the seventh edition of Turnip's Independence Day webinar. Every year we have uh, uh, the honor to host a guest who shares their knowledge on a pertinent theme of national importance. This year the theme is independence, future startup ecosystems. We have the honor to host Dr. Deepanwita Chattopadhyay, the chairman and CEO of IKP Knowledge Park, Hyderabad, since 1999. Subsequently, she founded IKP Eden in Bangalore. She is a true pioneer of the Indian incubation ecosystem with over 32 years in the field. She has won many awards. All I can say, folks, is that please use the time that you have with her today. Make sure to keep your questions ready. We will take them. We'll take as many questions as possible. Uh, so with this, I'll bring Deepanita ma'am on stage. You can add some applause in the chat because it will really help with the YouTube algorithm suggesting the stream as widely as possible. So with this, ma'am, welcome to the stream. Welcome to Turnip's webinar. Uh, so I have
Good
a
morning.
few. Yeah.
Yeah, tell
So
me.
our audience, I already told you, our audience, it's mainly academia, but there are IP professionals, there are legal professionals, a lot of freelancers, R&D professionals, and so on. So
So
what?
let me clarify, and to all the audience, a very good morning, the eve of the Independence Day. Uh, Rahul, I'm no longer the CEO.
Okay,
Since January this year, uh, we have a new CEO. I'm the chair of IKP.
yeah.
And of course, I'm on various other boards and so on and so forth. Yes,
Great,
please
great.
go ahead.
So, ma'am, this is like a. I have a few questions. Then we'll open up the questions to the audience as soon as possible. So,
Sure.
my first question is like a lot of our audience was probably not born in 1999. So, what was the incubation ecosystem looking like in 1999? So that we also get an idea. Even like maybe I had never heard of incubation at when I was in 1999, but so people can compare between today and 1999.
Oh, sure. Just 1999. What I can do is, for the audience, quickly talk about the Indian startup, uh, if I can say chronology, in terms of what happens in the. Because 1999 came on the shoulders of 1980s and 1990s events in India and globally. So it's very important. So one thing that happened, and many of you would know, the National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Board (NSTEDB), which is the entrepreneurship wing. Now it's called TTI. Was set up by DST in 1982. And in 84, 85, a very important program was launched, which is called the STEPS, the Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Parks. They were in 6 or 7 campuses. Between 84 and 90, they were set up to promote entrepreneurship. It was not really a research park kind of an environment, it was more of an incubator environment, but it goes back to that. That was the beginning. DBT, Department of Biotechnology, was set up in 86, and 87, a corporate, if I call it a first Indian corporate incubator, was set up by AstraZeneca. It's called the Astra Research Center India in IISC Bangalore, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And an extremely important thing happened in 1988, that ICICI and UTI set up TDICI, Technology Development and Information Corporation of India, TDICI. That was the first venture capital company in India. So you have the enablers, you have the science and technology park setup, you have the government wing of NSTDB, you have the early venture capital company. What you needed was an association. In 1988, NASCOM was set up.
Mhm.
And then, of course, ICICI and TDICI actually made early investments in Mastech, which was a software company from Mumbai, Temptation Food from Pune, and there was a Rishabh Instruments, I think, in Nashik, and of course in Bangalore, TDICI invested in Biocon.
Mhm.
All of you have heard of Biocon. That was 1990. So let me tell you of the
Mhm.
1990s, what all happened. So 1991, another important thing happened in India was the STPI, the Software Technology Parks of India.
Mhm. Mhm.
At that time, technology was kind of, India had opened up its economy in 91, 92. So a lot of new things happening, and STPIs understood that companies like Wipro, TCS, Infosys, and many other IT companies that were coming up needed high bandwidth. We did not have the kind of broadband situation. Of course, mobile was not there, internet was almost negligible. And
Mhm.
that was when the STPI did a very important thing. STPI was set up. And then something in biotech happened, extremely important. 1993, Dr. Varaprasad Reddy, who was an electrical engineer in the US, he decided to come back to India because he attended a conference where he was told that, oh, Indians can't do innovation. And then he knew that hepatitis B vaccine is imported, and so Indians kids and Indians cannot be given because it's extremely expensive. So Dr. Varaprasad Reddy set up the first recombinant uh, biotech company, a vaccines company called Shanta Biotech in 1993.
Mhm.
Shanta, what it could do is bring down the price of hepatitis B vaccine from $23 a vial to less than $1 a vial. You know, it completely changed what was happening in India. That was in 93. It took 97, 98 when Varprasad Reddy could get this thing. But it was a great breakthrough for the biotech industry and the innovation industry. You have to know what was happening 95 globally.
Mhm.
Anybody knows when Amazon started, Jeff Bezos in Washington? 1995. The dot com boom era was 95 to
Mhm.
2000. All of you know about that. 96, actually, Zoho was formed.
Mhm.
We all know Zoho today. It was a US company, and then Zoho was formed. Sridhar Vempu and his partner. And then Bharat Biotech, which did the COVID 19 vaccine, Covaxin, that was set up in 1996 when Dr. Krishna Ella came back from the US. 97, Sanjeev Bikhchandani, he set up a very important IT company.
Naukri.
Was that our Naukri,
Yeah.
Naukri.com? That was the first, the e-commerce platforms are getting set up. Anybody knows when Google was set up globally?
I
Larry
think
Page, you've all
1990.
heard of Sergey Brin and Larry Page from Stanford to Menlo Park, and this was 1998.
Yeah.
So this was the dot-com boom. And 1998 in ICICI, Mr. Narayan and Vagul and the chairman of Hindustan Levers, Dr. Ashok Ganguly, they were thinking, what does India look like in the new millennium? New millennium means the 2000 era of 2000, we need to get prepared so that India becomes a knowledge economy. We now talk of the knowledge economy. That was when ICICI chairman Mr. Narayan Vagul was thinking of India as a knowledge economy and what is to be done. That was when, in 1999, ICICI Knowledge Park was set up. Now it's called the IKP Knowledge Park. And in 2000, I moved from Mumbai ICICI to head IKP in Hyderabad. Actually, we looked at three cities: Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad. And then Chief Minister Dr. Chandrababu Naidu said, nothing doing, Mr. Narayan Vagul, you come and set it up here. And I was extremely, extremely, extremely lucky to be chosen to become the CEO of IKP, ICICI Knowledge Park then. So we were given a 200-acre land outside the campus. There was nothing. We, though some things were happening, the startup word was not in use. And we were really not, we were looking at three things, frankly speaking, at IKP. It was not an incubator, it was a research park. What does research, how does a research park differ from an incubator? Incubator is typically for very early stage ideas to do the proof of concept and validation in maybe a 10,000, 20,000 square feet of space, whereas a research park has large companies, multinational companies, mid-sized companies, and startups at the same place. So we wanted a 200-acre campus where we could invite multinational companies to set up place. We could invite mid-sized companies that were thinking of expanding. And our pitch was, this is the knowledge era. You have to, and that's why we are called the Knowledge Park and not the STP, Science and Technology Parks. And that is when, very important things started happening. And if I can cover the 2000 for you, then you will see how all the audience today, all the students and the faculty, they would understand how we are where we are today. You know, the dot-com boom, there was a dot-com bust as well in the US. That was 2000, 2001. And many people from the US who had made money during dot-com boom came back to India, or did not come back, invested in India to set up very important things. And Make My Trip was 2000, Deep Kalra, if you remember. Strand Genomics, this is a very important thing. Simputer was formed, a very early stage form of an Apple iPhone was actually designed by Dr. Vijay Chandru and his team. He was a professor of Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and but then that was not accepted as a pilot in India, and but then he started a genomics company called Strand Genomics. Now it's called Strand Life Sciences. It has also been acquired by the Reliance. And there were several other companies that came in, very, very important. Biospectrum, as I mentioned, NASCOM in 1988, ABLE was formed, the Association of Biotech-Led Enterprises, which I'm the vice president, was formed in 2003. So a lot of things are happening. The biotech policy in Karnataka, biotech policy in then Andhra Pradesh, now Telangana and Andhra got divided, but then it was the United Andhra Pradesh, all these biotech policy. And there were several small venture capital funds were formed, like APIDC Venture Capital, Gujarat Biotech Fund, GVVL or something, huh? And then Kitven in Bangalore. These were also very important. And we had great companies when Sibri was launched. And then it was the early internet and e-commerce era where ClearTrip, Redbus, all of you must have heard about Redbus, right? The bus ticketing company. And then, of course, 2007, it was Miantra, InMobi. InMobi did something which others hadn't done. This was for India. So SMS-based search. InMobi was our first unicorn from India, startup unicorn. So InMobi came in. And then in the life sciences space, Laurus Labs, which was our first incubating company at IKP, and a small company which went to become, which had its great IPO doing extremely well as a pharmaceutical company. And Laurus has started acquiring other companies in to become a biologics company. Very important thing. And the other most important thing is Merrill Labs. Anybody has heard of Merrill? Rahul, I don't know whether you've heard about Merrill. Merrill, this is a medical device company. Today, if you search Merrill, it's in Vapi in
Mhm.
Gujarat, and Merrill actually does very high-end orthopedic, cardiovascular, interventional devices. Absolutely top notch. So these are extremely important things that the ecosystem was happening. Of course, Zomato came, Ola came. Many of these models are not new to the world. These are new to India. Ola, the Uber was already there, and then we had Ola. Policy Bazaar came in,
Mhm.
Zeroda came in. These are all use cases of platform, e-commerce and marketplace platform. This was extremely in energy in India. Praj was there doing very innovative work, funded by TDICI again, and four young graduates from IIT Madras came in to set up C6 Energy, and it was backed up by Sri Kumar Suryanarayan from Biocon, who left Biocon and started working. And Sri has taken it to great heights now. So I think these are very important things. And then, of course, we talk a lot of financial inclusion and mobile first companies, of course, like Paytm and all. Something that's very important to know, there was a company called Eco
Mhm.
was formed, I think, maybe in 2006, 7-ish time. It based itself on M-Pesa. M-Pesa was a great financial inclusion platform set up in Kenya. So we borrowed from from the African continent, a technology that actually started taking banking to the non-banked people. But that was financial inclusion. Then, of course, Paytm and all came. Of course, you have to know when the Aadhaar project started. That was in 2009. Unique Identification Authority of India, UIAI, was set up in 2009, and that actually changed the digital infrastructure of the country. Now we
Mhm.
all use UPI, right? All this Google Pay and Paytm and all kinds of payment. But all these actually needed both ecosystem players, enablers, and the government to come together and help us set up these platforms. So, with that, now I've taken you to 2010. After that,
Wow.
most of you guys know.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, that's exactly how it builds to today. I think that was my idea, that first we'll start from 1999, we'll come to today, and then come to the real theme, which is like future startup ecosystem. So ma'am, what do
correct.
you think of today? Like, there are lots of incubators, colleges have incubators. So what are their business models? How they are doing currently? What are the challenges that you see, which are very obvious ones? So just like an assessment of today.
Okay. So, NSTDB started setting up incubate technology business incubators, TBI. Then, of course, BIRAC was set up in 2012. BIRAC started setting up bionests. And then Atal Innovation Mission, AIM, started setting up the AICs, uh, and METI has incubators. Then other state governments have incubators. MSMEs have incubators.
Mm.
Today, if you ask me, all put together, probably there's 800 plus incubators in the country.
Mhm.
Largely, they are set up in academic institutions. Then, of course, there are corporate incubators, some incubators and accelerators set up by venture capital companies. IKP is a private incubator, but supported by the government. And of course, we now have extremely enabling policies on incubation, which one is all academic, all universities and technology and research institutions are required to set up incubators. The purpose of incubation is to take an idea, to develop a proof of concept, and do some amount of validation so that they can be commercialized. This is the translation path, because translation and innovation happens also in academia, and faculty and students can actually take some of their ideas. Earlier, it was largely people who have worked in the industry, wants to do something, are unable to do it in their own companies, start their own ventures. Now we see a lot of students after coming out actually starting their own ventures. And all of you have seen the Startup India website, DPIIT, the way it is, the startup revolution is being promoted. There are over 2 lakh startups in India. And as I said, about around 800 incubators. Your question was, what would the academic incubators do as models? You
Mhm.
know, the model, when they start, there's a host institution, which is the university or the academic institution, and they give space, and they lend the policy. Of course, the overall policy framework is defined by the scheme from the government, from which the
Mhm.
first funding comes.
Mhm.
And typically there's a space requirement. You have to have some startups already present, so that you
Mhm.
know that you have the intention of doing it. You're just not looking for money, you have the intention of doing it.
Mhm.
But the most important thing is, you need to find out what is your midterm and long term vision and mission for the incubator.
Mhm.
What do you want to promote? Is it
The
sector
niche.
agnostic, or is it focusing on a particular sectors, depending on the team and the CEO's expertise? So these things should first be put in. Then you need, of course, a business plan.
Mhm.
Always remember, Rahul, incubators are business enterprises. They are technology enablers, but finally, they have to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
If the CEO or whoever is heading the incubator is not entrepreneurial, you
Yeah.
cannot advise somebody sitting on the other side on entrepreneurship and business, because you don't
Yeah.
understand business. So it's very important for three things. One is having understanding and appreciation of technology, understanding business, understanding
Mhm.
finances. If you do not have appreciation, if you can't really understand a balance sheet, if you don't understand corporate governance, how will you advise your startups? So I think when a host institution, an academic institution, sets up its management structure, it's very important to have some people as independent directors from outside,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
from the industry, who can
Yeah.
guide. So the technology part is to be taken care of by the institute faculty, but you need people for guidance. So the board or the management, the governing council, has to be set up properly.
Mhm.
Today, all our incubator schemes require uh, a Section 8, a non-profit, as either a Section 8 company or a trust or
A
a society.
society
The
or trust. Yeah.
preferable is Section 8.
Mhm.
Earlier, a lot of societies were formed, but now NSTDB, like TTI and AIM, they all want Section 8
Section
companies.
8.
So that there is the corporate governance, it's a non-profit. So
Mhm.
what is the difference between a for-profit company and a non-profit company? That you cannot declare dividends to your shareholders.
Yeah.
So your shareholders, the money that you earn, the excess of income over expenditure. You don't say profit in a non-profit, but
Hmm.
that excess of income over
Access.
expenditure is plowed back for
Hmm.
further development of the cause and not distributed among the shareholders.
Yeah.
That is what the non-profit. Always important to remember what do you want to achieve, because what is the output and the outcomes. Of course, you know that in any incubator, number of startups, number of successful startups, these are things counted. Also, you have to look at what are these startups doing after leaving the incubator.
Hmm.
After 3 years, are they falling flat,
Hmm.
or are they winding up, or are they able to raise more funding than what you've given during the incubation process and go further, so commercialize their technologies. So that is one part. But many tier 2, tier 3 incubators, I find that the ecosystem is such that it is difficult for them to earn enough revenue.
Hmm.
And I'm actually teaching, doing coach, not teaching, I'm doing coaching classes for some Iranian incubators. And they have the same problem. I'm also the vice president of the International Association of Science Parks. So I've been
Hmm.
asked to do some classes for some CEOs of Iranian incubators. There also, I see uh, in certain regions where there are not enough startups, and they have to give the space almost free of cost.
Hmm.
What do they do? How do they make themselves financially viable?
Hmm.
At times you will be a cost center. An incubator will become a cost center, means you have to get more money to run the incubator till you
Hmm.
find out your own business model to
Hmm.
become long term self sufficient. And for that, we can discuss later. But it's important to see what impact are you making.
Hmm.
What are the startups that you were uh, incubating? What kind of impact the startups are making? I think the government is also very keen to see impact. So technology sovereignty, are you able to work on technologies that will benefit India? Earlier, the e-commerce platforms, they were those have really, financial inclusion have helped a lot of uh, businesses in India, small businesses. If you see now, small businesses use UPI. So I think healthcare, so important to see good healthcare models. If
Hmm.
your startups in an incubator can work on areas that need not be new to the world, innovation need not be new to the world. It's very difficult to do things new to the world. New
Absolutely
to
not.
India, also, it's sometimes difficult for people in tier 2, tier 3. Do new to your region, build models,
Hmm.
local solutions, but that can be scaled later to
Hmm.
become solutions across India. Pilot it in your region to see how you can do well. I think
Yeah.
if you have the right intention and uh, impact, there are three kinds of impact. One is to make social impact, the other
Hmm.
is to make economic impact, the other is to make ecological impact for the planet. If you are a
Wonderful.
sustainable company, that if you build sustainable companies who are climate friendly and things like that, that's a great thing. Then of course, giving jobs, making
Hmm.
people, mm, uh, so job generation is an extremely important area
Hmm.
for startups. And then, of course, as I said, the use cases, look at what use cases these startups are doing, whether it is technology led, whether, see, most people are now talking of from maybe e-commerce and these platform technologies, SaaS technologies, deep tech. Are we capable of doing deep tech?
Hmm.
Who are these companies? Who are these startups who would do deep tech? I think these are some of the questions we need to ask ourselves. How many deep tech companies are we expecting so that we can really make a change? And we are talking of Viksit Bharat. What are those conditions? Let's not even talk of 47. Let's talk of
Yeah.
2030.
Yeah.
What do we want to achieve by 2030? If each of your today, if you have incubators here, my request to all the incubator managers and the CEOs and the faculty, do a proper business plan for 2030. What kind of impact? What are the outputs that you are looking at? What kind of impact? What amount of money you will require? Where will you raise the money from?
Hmm.
I think, Rahul, I stop at that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's a known challenge. Whoever's running an incubator, they know the challenges, that how difficult it is just to monetize
yeah,
startups if you don't have government grants, or if the government grants run out.
government grants are there till 5 years. There may
Hmm.
be some no cost extension if you have not spent your money.
Hmm.
But at the end, government expects. So
Hmm.
sometimes what happens if it's a private university, the university also takes equity and provides some money. But
Hmm.
it's a challenge. I think good revenue models that we, and I, if there are faculty in your audience today, Rahul, I would love to understand if they have a good knowledge of IP,
Hmm.
intellectual property, because you can't, deep tech means deep intellectual property,
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
IP. So there are three things in deep tech, because we all talk of deep tech today. So, three things. One, you're solving a very complex challenge. You're solving it through a technology that is embedded in deep science, and you have, because of that, intellectual property that is very robust.
Yeah.
And these typically take longer time periods. And while RDI funds have been put up, and ANRF is also funding a lot
Hmm.
of academic institutions, I think we need to see more of these patterns, how these will get funded.
Hmm.
But your audience must be looking at the early stage, not looking at the RDI funding, which
Hmm.
is TRL 6 and above, TRL 5
Hmm.
and above. Uh, I hope everybody understands the TRL levels. The TRL is technology readiness level between 1 to 9. It was
Hmm.
actually started by NASA for their
Hmm.
technology. You will know, Rahul,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but we have adopted as a country the uh, our understanding, and incubators typically look at TRL 2 or 3. TRL 1 and 2 are basically uh,
It's too early.
idea formation, idea generation, that is pre incubation.
Hmm.
TRL 3 to TRL 5 is flatly and formally the incubator's job to develop the prototype or the proof of concept, do early validation at lab scale and field, and then early regulatory compliances.
Hmm.
The moment you
Yeah.
go to regulatory compliances, it is TRL 6. I am
Yeah.
not expecting your. I think there's a lot of noise because it's pouring here, but I hope
Oh,
you're not getting disturbed with that.
no, no, no. It's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it's so important to look at having understanding of regulatory
Yeah.
pathways. If you're a life sciences company, surely you have to
Yeah.
understand regulation, understand what CDSCO wants,
Yeah.
what kind. So there are three things I would say: market discovery. If you do not understand the market properly, your customer discovery.
Hmm.
It's actually customer discovery. You go out of the room. You can develop your technology, but don't make it a gadget. Get out of the room, find out who will buy your technology. I think that will become extremely important. Technology development. So incubators really need to force startups to do customer discovery, do
Hmm.
design thinking,
Yeah.
and see that they understand the regulatory pathway. And of course, access to funding. I'll
Yeah,
stop at that.
yeah. Ma'am, we at Turnip are having early stage lot of content like this TRL you mentioned. It's covered in our deep tech entrepreneurship course. We have Qualcomm. So this actually, I want to ask a follow-on question. But before
Yes.
that, I'll just tell the audience that the floor is open for questions. It takes like 30 seconds before I speak, and when it's actually streamed on the devices of people. It's not real time like in Zoom or these kind of web calls. But please, we will selectively take your questions, and I'll ask just one maybe last question to ma'am, and then I'll leave you, the audience, to ask questions. So,
Sure.
ma'am, I wanted to ask about corporate incubators because you mentioned that ICICI and AstraZeneca was the sponsor initially, and now also we are seeing that government funds run out, or suppose there are no government funds, then uh, what do you think? Uh, is there like not enough corporate incubators nowadays, or do you think it can be unlocked in some with some strategy?
Okay. ICICI didn't start an incubator. ICICI started a venture capital fund, TDICI,
Hmm.
which later on became ICICI Venture and
Hmm.
became more of a PE fund. And
Hmm.
then we started at IKP very early. So we were the first early stage venture capital fund within the incubator and science park ecosystem called India Innovation Fund. And
Hmm.
then Ahmedabad and Kunal and all started Infuse Fund for energy, and they started then Bharat Innovation Fund.
Hmm.
But coming back to your question of whether there is enough corporate incubators, there are corporate incubators, but not enough. I
Hmm.
think what happens is corporates typically look at how they can use some of the funding uh, to encourage entrepreneurial ideas.
Hmm.
And if they are good, they can actually acquire those technologies for their development.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. They are unlocking an
so
audience, these kind of.
yeah. So, I think we have some very good entrepreneurial, uh, like corporate ecosystem players. Qualcomm, as you mentioned, is one, and Microsoft actually had
Hmm.
a very good uh,
Hmm.
incubator. They don't call it an incubator, but it was very, and
Hmm.
from there, we had a startup that came out, Everwell, uh, Everwell Technologies or Everwell. I'm just forgetting the. They did something very important. They set up a platform with the government later on, initially funded by the Gates Foundation, to Everywhere Technologies to actually control TB by making people adhere to the drug regime. So a lot of people do not continue because TB, tuberculosis, is has a long term therapy which is 6 months to 9 months. For 6 months, adhering to the same regime is difficult. So Everwell Technologies got a digital platform, and that's used by so many countries, including our RNTCP, Revised National TB Control Program. The
Hmm.
platform is called Nikshay. Shay is TB in Hindi,
Hmm.
and Nikshay is to make
Free
it
of.
without
Yeah.
free of TB. And that platform, the technology is Everwell
Hmm.
technology. So we have very good examples of corporate, but I think your thing is, how do we actually encourage? um, so basically, corporates have to understand their duty in nation building.
Hmm.
So they will look for profits, they will look
Yeah.
for technologies that suit them, so their incubators will be more focused towards their what they would like to see and build. But
Hmm.
I have seen whether in IIT Delhi or uh, in Triple IT Hyderabad or ISC Bangalore, there are corporates that have set up their
Yeah,
research
yeah.
centers and
And many
incubators.
have startup programs. They run via incubators, but they have these startup programs.
That's correct. Correct. Some are CSR, some are not.
Yeah, some are CSR. Yes,
Huh.
yes,
So you have to differentiate between the two.
yeah.
Because if
Absolutely.
it's a CSR program, they cannot use that technology for their own development later.
Hmm.
They cannot acquire those
Yeah.
technologies.
Ma'am, let's take some audience questions one by
Okay.
one. I think now there are a lot of questions. Earlier there weren't.
Oh, I
So
can't
this
see any
question,
question myself, but okay, you put up the
I'll bring
question.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Ankur Ghata from AIMK.
Okay.
Will AI and automation create more entrepreneurs? It is also somehow my question. Also, I have this
Or
that
will they
because
make
it's a bit
traditional startup
harder
less relevant?
because a startup have less leverage. It's becoming harder to start up. I think that's what they are asking. Or will they make traditional startups less relevant?
So, Ankur, you know what happens? AI is a technology. Huh? It's a tool. It depends upon how well you can use the tool to achieve what your purpose is. You find a use case suitable for developing and doing your work easier, better, more efficiently, because this provides you efficiency. And efficiency is a double-edged sword in some cases, because if you're looking at, it may not require as many people, but your time may, you may do it much faster. So it is about how well you can use the tool to your
Mhm.
benefit. Will it make some traditional startups less relevant? What is a traditional startup, Ankur? Startups are always hungry for new ideas. They are breaking status quo. What is a
Yeah.
traditional startup in your in your notion? Tell me. I will
Yeah.
then respond to it.
Yeah, yeah, go for it. That's what ma'am is
Yeah.
saying. So Dr. Sajjad, he's asking, I think it's about success rate of startup. Ma'am, thanks for the informative session. Though we talk a lot about startup ecosystem, but the failure rate is very high. What shall we do as a nation to ensure better success rate?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sajjad. Uh, So this is Sajjad's Academy. I don't know what you do, but let me respond to your. You know, failure rate is 90% of whom? Failure rate of a startup or failure rate of VCs. If I'm talking, if I'm a today I'm wearing the hat of a venture capital company, I will take my failure rate is 80 to 90%, because of the companies I take, most of those companies maybe 50% fail, some do just about return the money, and the top two, the maybe 15 to 10 to 15% return me 10x, 10 times, a multiple of 10, so that I make a lot of money. If I'm an incubator, failure rate cannot be 90%. Trust me, your job is to make sure that the startup, because actually is in their path to commercialization and they succeed. In that case, you have to remember, startups raising venture capital money is not the only path. I know a lot of startups who have had great revenue model, that they are able to earn, sell their products and services and earn money. Banking is another way. Of course, bank's problem is you have to service the debt, but there are collateral free schemes
Hmm.
where you don't need to give your collateral, but also there's a return problem is there. But then there are angels, and there is some other funding mechanisms, initial funding mechanisms that startups have. So 90% is not the failure for a startup
Hmm.
ecosystem in India. It is normal for, so if I say how many startups closed down, right? If that is the failure, they may not raise VC money, but they may be able to have a revenue model worth pursuing. I can give you example after example after example how startups have pivoted from one
Mm.
model to the other, and now they're doing exceedingly well. And there's a company called Revelations Biotech. It came to IKP in 2008-9, and he came out of ICGEB after his PhD, a great scientist and X-ray crystallographer. He started a drug discovery company. After 3 years, he said, "Ma'am, this is not possible because this requires way too much money to do."
Mm.
He pivoted. He went to make enzymes and fermentation products, and now he is doing so well. Revelations about it. He found out the niche. I had a talk with Ravi recently because the amount of funding he has raised, both from RDI and for now venture capital companies are chasing him. Nobody wanted to give
Mm.
him any money at some
Mm.
point. And I asked, he said, "I'm very selective now, ma'am, but at the same time," I said, "Have you given up your drug discovery dream?" He said, "No, it is just postponed because I know first let me do what I can do." So there's something called the low hanging fruits. I think startup strategy is very important, Dr. Sajjad. I think we can have a
Yeah.
separate chat with you
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
startup
There's
strategy.
like failure equal to pivot. So like there's no playbook that says this much or that much. So Pari Shaw is asking
Very
skills. What skills should students and young entrepreneurs start developing today to succeed in the future startup ecosystem?
interesting question. What is the future startup ecosystem? Uh, you know, Today, there are a lot of incubators, and the government is looking at maybe 1,200 incubators or 1,500 incubators in another 5 years' time. There is a national incubators assessment framework that is coming up, and it will be launched in 2027, if I'm not wrong, which will recognize and govern incubators. But for students to become entrepreneurs, what you need to do, Pari, is to ask questions. First thing is being curious and inquisitive. You Startups, successful people, innovators, they observe what others see but do not act. They observe certain things which is clearly a problem, but others don't act on it. They decide and they make it their mission to change the quo. To change status quo, first you have to have an interest and a very deep passion to do something which is different. It is not about earning money. If you have to earn money, join somewhere else. If you have to make a difference, if you see a problem and you think that you can make a difference, this is not about startups. And entrepreneur is not about small businesses. I give an example, if you allow me, Rahul,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Pari.
please.
So, if I have one kirana shop, and in the next lane, because the demand is increasing, I start another kirana shop. That is a small business. I'm expanding my small business. If I actually look at the 10 kirana shops in my entire locality and put up digital platform to help them do the transaction with their customers, that is a startup business. So there's a difference between small businesses and startup business. Startup business are non-linear. You can grow in a non-linear fashion. It is not about unit cost. It sometimes you will work on unit economics. Some businesses are like that. For impact businesses, it may be like that. I'm not saying India is a very plural country, very heterogeneous plural country. Various kinds of models are required, but the training you need is be curious, try
Mm.
and go ask questions from the first principles. Don't
Yeah,
accept what your teacher is saying. Don't accept what the book says. Ask questions from the first principles.
yeah.
Don't,
You're asking a question that's good.
yeah, because first principles means why. Why is that happening? And only when you start asking why, you train your mind to become an entrepreneur. Of course,
Amazing.
uh, I think that's extremely, and then you'll start solving. It can be any problem, but you have to go to the depth of it to understand. And whatever problem you take, look at the history. Who all have tried to solve it? Why have they failed? Ask the question, why have people failed in solving a problem that exists? Was it that the economic environment was not suitable? Was it the policy environment was not suitable? Or is it that people did not find a solution that was that people could afford? Ask yourself these questions, then put a business plan around it to sort. The first startup or the first idea is not your last idea. Please remember that. You may fail in the first one, you may fail in the second one, you may make great success in the third one. Try to build solutions, nice solutions, clever solutions, do hacks. I think it is so important to do different things and try and solve. I don't know, Pari,
Amazing.
whether I've
I think she
solved.
got a great answer. She got a great answer at length. So great job. Congratulations to her. Amazing.
So, yeah, any other question there?
Yeah. So, Jewel, how important is industry collaboration in success of an incubation ecosystem, and how colleges can establish such partnerships?
It's very important. You know, dual career. Okay, it is extremely important to have, because if you are acting on your own, your startups won't get connected to the industry. So best is to invite industry to come and talk to your startups. You can make them part of the jury of your hackathon or your
Hmm.
startup business competition. Request them, they will give time, take their time, uh, make industry visits. I think, but industry visit is not as useful
Hmm.
as somebody coming and talking. They may say, "Oh, you're doing great work. This is a great idea," and then prod. And so, collaboration can be structured. Collaboration can be unstructured. Whatever you can do. Everything need not be structured. Also, look at not only industry but successful startups, because they know the pain. They will be able to solve certain problems of startups much better than somebody, a corporate, because they have different setups in their office to get problem solved. Startups do all kinds of jugaad, all kinds of, uh, they know the ecosystem, they know the pain of navigating the ecosystem. And so invite startups in your locality or from outside, depending
Hmm.
upon the domain, because success breeds success. If you call somebody a CEO of a corporate, it's just too distant for a startup.
Hmm.
But to see a startup who has succeeded, that makes you feel much more happy, and that if he can do it, I can do it too. That kind of a feeling.
Great.
Yes. How can college establish? That is the way to go. Please go
Yeah.
ahead. Next question, please.
Subhash Chandra,
From
when
Bangalore.
should one approach the incubator? It's a good strategic question, I think. When
Yeah.
should one approach the incubator, at idea stage or post POC?
At You can always brainstorm at idea stage. If he is a good incubation manager, they'll give time. Post POC, you're already trying to and POC also, for everyone. POC is proof of concept. So once you've established the proof, there can be a quick and dry POC. So it can be a paper POC. You can just made something, but with actual material, doing it. If there is a fabrication lab, fab lab, or a
Mm.
prototyping lab, that's always easy. So approach incubator, which has all this, and then you'll be able to develop. There are also some grants that may be available for developing your prototype. So post POC would typically mean you are trying to raise money for your validation.
Mm.
But I would think even developing the prototype at the incubator, many incubators have very good prototyping facility today.
Mm.
Or if it's a wet lab, if it's chemistry or biology, they'll have lab equipment which are expensive.
Great, great.
So one thing
You
I
were
thought,
saying one more. Yeah, sorry.
just before we take the next question, if you look at the startup blink, I don't know, many of you may have seen. So there are reports, 2025, 2026 reports. I keep on seeing every year startupblink.com comes up with a global report on startup ecosystems. Startup genome .com comes up with it. Then Global Innovation Index from WIPO comes up with their annual innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem reports. All these reports actually, so Startup Blink report says there are, even in 2024, this was 2026 report says out of 1,000 cities globally, there are 51 cities in India today that that get ranked within the top 1,000 cities globally. Top 100, there are 7 or 8 regions. So of course you have Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, then Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai. Then Ahmedabad is there, Jaipur is there, Kolkata is
Mm.
there. And then I can actually, you can go to startupblink.com and see those names. But it's very good to see and they have jumped so 100 places they have jumped from last year, 120 places they have jumped from last year. So there is Patna, there is Guwahati, there is Ranchi, Kota, Amritsar, so Indore, Raipur, Bhopal, Mangaluru. So all the Vellore, Coimbatore, of course, Coimbatore is higher on the list. So it's very important to see that we are moving towards a much more distributed innovation ecosystem. It is no 10 years back, we would only talk of Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Pune, Hyderabad. There are several other names that have joined the race. And this change is in the last 2 years.
Mm.
And I think the distributed nature of startup is a very, very positive thing. I would love to work with startupblink.com if I get a chance to delve into those smaller ecosystems to see what kind of data they've been able to. Fantastic report. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Ma'am, let's take one last question, maybe. So, Dr. Yogita asks,
Huh.
how can students and faculty collaborate to transform an innovative idea in and make a real world application? So, what are the key steps, timeline, support? So,
Okay.
I think they want to build something real for the world.
Sure, sure. Faculty and students, yeah, faculty has more experience in terms of developing a technology. Students are great in asking questions, and they come up. The best part of students today, Rahul, they are AI native.
They learn from many places.
They no, they actually do things so fast. So it's amazing to actually see. So there's a transformation in terms of even the mindset. So it's always good to say faculty who has traditional knowledge of engineering or science and these young minds coming together, because they are not scared of asking questions. They can ask, and Yogita, there is no stupid question in this world. All questions are good questions, because if you don't ask question, then you won't learn. The only way to learn is to know, and the difference between knowing and not knowing is asking a question and knowing it. I think students and faculty can come together, and you can start by doing an ideathon or a hackathon. That then what happens is you will see what kind of ideas come up. Each group of 3 students or 5 students can be assigned a faculty. The students have to agree to that faculty taking that faculty, and the faculty has to agree to the idea of the
Mm.
student, because in any team, trust is the main thing. All of you have to trust each other to
Yeah.
develop something. And you say what are the key steps, timelines, and support that will be required is first to form the POC at the lab level, develop the POC with the student team and the faculty team, uh, get outsiders as a panel of jury, uh, and let them evaluate. They should not be knowing any of you. No
Yeah.
conflict of interest. Let there
Yeah.
be people saying, okay, you know what? This could be done this way. This could be done in another way. Let them interact and ask questions. Pick up the 2 best. Don't feel bad if yours is not done, because you're doing it for the country, as you said. You're doing it for the innovation ecosystem. And then look for funding. If all the 10, you may not get funding. But if it's 2 or 3 that you pick up, you'll be able to get funding for it. And then build the first amount of funding, maybe just a lakh or 2 lakhs. Then you require, when you're developing or doing validation, then that's the time when you need more money. So it is a process. It's a
Mm.
relay race. Not the first team can do the last thing. See how best, and slowly get industry interested. Call somebody from the local bank to see what kind of work you do. And so, involve people,
Yeah, they are
involve
all
the
interested in knowing what is happening in academia.
correct,
Corporate
correct,
want to go, so you just need to ask.
correct, correct. Thank you.
These are
So, do you
great
want another
insights.
any other question? I can take it, or if you want to
Uh,
call it a day, I
I
can.
think, ma'am, if you can just summarize your final advice to, say, incubation leaders and the audience in general, because I think there's no other questions as such.
Huh.
So I think a lot of people are already saying thank you. I can see truly
Okay,
valuable
I can see
session.
that. Thanks. Okay, so if you're asking me, what startups should do and what faculty have to actually try and come closer to students and use their time to develop new ideas, new solutions. So it's so important for people to be able to say that let's experiment. For faculty, don't keep the equipment closed. Let students use it, because many a times students are not even allowed to use equipment. So
Yeah.
I think developing ideas is extremely important. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, feel free. uh, Rahul has my contacts.
Ma'am's LinkedIn profile link is in the description of this video.
Okay, fine.
So
My LinkedIn profile is there.
go
Reach
for
me
it.
out at the LinkedIn. And thank you, Rahul. I
Thank you
hope
so
this
much.
was useful. I hope all of you have gained. I love talking to startups and young people. So wonderful. Thank
Exactly.
you.
If they have more questions, it's like how I think the session is successful. That they should have more questions, and that's it. Great. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll just take the last 2 minutes for thanking Qualcomm, who supports the event, and so I'll just take over, ma'am, for 2 minutes, and then I'll end the stream. So really, really thank you to you, ma'am, and hope to meet you again. We met a couple of years ago. Maybe I visited Hyderabad or Bangalore, and we
Right.
will stay in
Thank you.
touch.
Thank you. Stay happy, stay blessed, explore.
Thank you, ma'am. So this session is supported by Qualcomm. We have been doing it for last 7 years. So last 3 years, Qualcomm is supporting the event, and I want to introduce you to the L2 Pro India IPR e-learning platform, which is developed by Qualcomm in collaboration with DPIIT and National Law University Delhi. So please check out the link in description. It's called l2proindia.com, and you can avail free IP certifications at different levels. So beginner, advanced, as well as intermediate. I also have a deep tech entrepreneurship course. It covers a lot of things. What ma'am said about first principles, about technology readiness levels, about sales and marketing, about fundraising. So it's a great 90-minute course which helps. It's free of charge. I have developed it with the support of Qualcomm. Qualcomm folks have been involved in developing it. I have also some interviews with incubation leaders who have shared, who have invested in deep tech. So that link is also in the description. These are two great resources for you guys to avail free of charge. And if you like the video, leave a like and hit subscribe if you would like the latest updates. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day and the rest of the weekend. A great Independence Day. Jai Hind. Thank you.